Diva Springs has long been regarded as one of the premier still waters in the country. Situated in the small, sleepy Hampshire village of Barton Stacey, its crystal clear lakes are fed by the tranquil adjacent chalk stream, the River Diva. The fishery consists of two main lakes. The smaller of the two is called Spring, with the larger being called Willow. Stocking of trophy-sized brown and rainbow trout happens on a daily basis, with fish being reared on site until they're ready to be stocked. With the average size of fish being 6 pounds, it's little wonder that anglers visit from all over the world. We join Allan and JT for a day as they look at different approaches to small still waters.
Hi there, here at Diva Springs, and we're up on Spring Lake. The water's a little bit murky today because ideally you want to stalk this water, but because it's a bit murky we can't see the fish quite as clearly as we'd like to. So just trying a bit of fan casting and retrieving using a very heavy fly because I want it to get down quickly. It's just caught the weed there. Just let it bump off the weed. But I want the fly to move slowly through the water. So when I get to the end of the retrieve, I'm just going to lift the rod up, and that will make the fly rise up towards the surface of the water. And that's very often, if there's a fish following it, that's very often when you're going to take. So for the next cast, I just roll the line out forward again. Punch it out over the water. It's quite a heavy fly, so it's not the easiest fly to cast gently onto the water, but I need it to sink quickly. I'm just doing a gentle figure of 8 retrieve because I want the fly to move smoothly through the water, and all the time I'm watching the tip of the fly line. So if I get a take, I'm going to feel the tip of the fly line. It'll either just kind of stop, or it will dart forward as the fish takes the fly and swims away. Sometimes you just have a kind of sixth sense that something's got hold of the fly. Just after you've been fishing for a bit, you kind of get this feeling it doesn't feel quite right. And if you get one of those, it's a good idea to tighten up as soon as you can, because that's something's telling you there's a fish on the end.
Allan, if you'd just like to explain to us, just show us the figure of 8 retrieve that you're talking about.
Okay, there are two kinds of figure of 8. One where we actually, if there's a lot of mud underneath me, I'm actually just going to bunch the line up in my fingers as I retrieve it. So when I start to cast again, I've not got the line all round my feet. I know where it is. You know, if I'm maybe sea trout fishing on a river and I've got a load of grass and sticks and things underneath me, so I keep catching the line. So I'm going to use that kind of captive figure of 8 where I'm keeping hold of the line. Here, this is a lovely place to fish, and underneath me is just the banks. There's no snags at all. So I'll just, as I retrieve the line in, I'm just going to let the line drop onto the floor because there's nothing here for it to catch on. So I can I can speed that up, I can slow it right down. And during the course of the day, you'll try lots of different retrieves. I'm standing in the corner of Willow Lake at Diva Springs. Got a bit of a wind coming over my left shoulder. I mean, that's for me, that being a right-handed caster, that's obviously perfect because I can push the fly out and just tweak it back very gently. But I'm going to let the wind form a bit of a bow in the line, bring the fly back at a nice angle. So just roll it out. No need to cast very far. There we go, line straightens out, fly drops in the water. As I say, I'm going to just let the wind take up the snack in the line, and I'm just very gently figure of eighting the fly back towards me. Flies. It's a little tiny competition dog nobbler, so it's going to be sinking quite fast. So already I'm going to be fishing at a reasonable depth, and all the time I'm watching the bow in the line. I just feel it tightening a little bit there. I think that's actually the bottom. It's not a fish. So I just pick the speed of the retrieve a little bit up a little bit, just to lift the fly up in the water. It's a good idea when you're getting closer to the bank, just make the fly lift up in the water. That's very often when it's going to get taken. If there's a fish following it, that's when the fly's going to get taken. I've just picked up a little bit of weed there. Let's just pull that off. That's fine. Just make sure the fly is all in good order. Pick off that little bit of weed. Get it out there again. So nothing on that cast. I'm actually going to try stripping it back a bit faster this time. I'll let it sink. Again, waiting for the wind to straighten the line out. I'll go for just slightly faster retrieve. Series of short pulls. So with a dog nobbler, because it's a heavy fly, every time I pull, it's going to lift the fly up in the water. Every time I stop, the fly is going to drop quickly. So the fly will zigzag its way back through the water column. Nothing there. Again, a little bit of weed there, doesn't matter. Right, this cast, I'm going to try and cast a different place every time. This one's going to go a little bit further up the wind. I actually saw a fish rise just over there at the corner of my eye a second ago. So let's see if he's still around. What you often find is some days the fish want the fly moving very quickly, other days much slower and deeper. And depends on a number of things. You know, if they've seen a lot of fast moving flies recently, maybe they want something a bit slower. And temperature also comes into the equation. When it's cooler, fish are less likely to be quite so active and chasing things. As I say, I'm just keeping my attention really focused on the end of the fly line. For retrieve, and oh, there's a fish. Right, so now, actually this fish, it's fought very hard. You know, people say these fish don't fight, but this one's putting up a real old tussle. I think we're getting somewhere near the end of things. Well, I thought that, but maybe the fight goes on. Definitely making a bit of headway now. I'm using the drag of the reel, but set fairly light because I can use my bit of finger pressure on the rim of the spool. Keep thinking it's coming in, but then it finds a second wind. In fact, now it's on its 12th wind. Here it comes, here it comes. There we go. Lovely. Look at that. Lovely rainbow. Full tail, really deep in the body, bright silver. It's everything you can possibly expect from a stillwater rainbow right there. It's a lovely fish. Really pleased with that.
So there's two very distinctive ways to approach a small stillwater like Diva Springs. One way is the most common way you probably see, which is what Allan's been doing, which I'm just having a bit of a pop on now. It's what we call chucking and chancing. So we're blind casting. We can't actually see the fish that we're looking to catch. And unfortunately at the moment the water's got a little bit of colour to it, which is making life a little bit difficult, but there's a fish there. We'll pop that fly just in front of it. It's just gone to have a look. Oh, he decided he didn't like it. So this is the other method really, which is known more widely just as stalking. So what we're actually doing is we're trying to spot a fish and target an individual fish, rather than just having a bit of luck on what size and what type of fish we catch. With stalking, you spend your day walking around the lakes until you actually see a fish that you want to catch. Now ordinarily this water here at Diva Springs is absolutely crystal clear, but unfortunately today, as I say, there's a little bit of colour in, which is making life a bit difficult. Nice big brownie just rolled there. Making life quite tough, and a bit of cloud cover too. This is where a good set of Polaroids really come into their own. But with the stalking, we're trying to spot that fish and work out roughly how deep that fish is in the water column and how fast it's moving, where we think it's moving to, and then place our fly in front of that fish so that roughly with the sink rate of the fly, that fly gets in front of that fish just at the point where you're guessing that it's swum to. So it's not exactly an exact science, but that kind of plop and drop you get from the fly as it's dropping down through the water, very enticing for a fish. So we're not using particularly big flies, but they are quite heavily weighted because we wanted to get in and down through the water column quite quickly. And then obviously we're looking for the reaction of the fish opening its mouth, flaring its gills and engulfing that fly, fingers crossed. You tend to find that you get one of three reactions when you're stalking for fish. They either swim straight at it and they eat it, in which case, well, you know the end result of that one. They often rush the fly, and at the last minute they just turn away, which often means that they're interested but they don't particularly want that pattern, so try another fly. And then your third and final response is that they just completely spook and disappear altogether, which can often happen, especially if there's a lot of pressure on a fishery, but it's very quiet here today, so there's not really an issue with that. And if that happens and the fish disappears and spooks, then just leave it alone, come back to it in half an hour, 45 minutes, because what you tend to find when these still waters is that the trout will set up a patrol route once they've been in a day or two, and they might pick, say, a peg over there, a peg here and a peg over there, and they'll do a lap. So you can stand in the same place and maybe every 5-10 minutes the same fish will come back around again. So just because you have missed the first shot at it, be patient, wait for that fish to come back around again. Quite often when I'm stalking a water, I can go most of the day without even making a cast until I see the fish that I actually want to catch, whether that be a big fish, whether it be a brown, and then you're actually targeting that specific fish, whereas what Allan's been doing is this more traditional sort of blind casting, chuck and chance, casting out, pulling back, not really targeting a specific fish and just hoping for the best. But so far he's 1-0 up on me, so he's doing something better than I am. We saw Allan earlier putting out some quite good long casts, casting blind. There's a few little different casts that we need when we're stalking, and one of them's known as a bow and arrow cast, or sometimes known as a catapult cast. It just involves holding the fly in your finger and thumb of your left hand and just bending the rod tip back. So we're loading that rod, and for all these short casts where most of the time the fish are just round the edge, all we do, point the rod in the direction we want it to go, just let go with our left hand and pop, out she goes, there's a cast made. It's a dead simple cast, but for tight areas where you've got no space for a back cast, trees overhanging, it's a particularly good cast to have in your armoury.
So this is something slightly different. This fish here, I don't know if you can see in the fish's mouth, bright orange booby with obviously foam eyes, so that's going to float Just chucked that out, and fish came for it, missed it, and I started to strip it, and he came shooting across the top of the water and grabbed it. So that's pretty exciting stuff.
There's backing on a still water. You say still water, shout, don't fight, yeah? And what a fantastic way to finish the day. Stalk brownie, £9, taking on a small reverse cat's whisker fly, a new one available from Fulling Mill. Just came along, opened its mouth, engulfed the fly and went off. What a great fight. A good 10 minutes, giving it some stick. Saw the backing on 2 or 3 occasions. A fantastic way to finish off the day. Not quite a £10 that we were hoping for, but at £9, still a great fish nonetheless. And I've got to say, we're really pleased. Hope you've enjoyed the show, and we'll see you on our next episode.